Well, good day. This is retired Fire Chief Paul Smith with Marin Fire History. And today our guest is Chief Jason Weber. And we asked Chief Weber to come join us today. Congratulations, Chief, as the 2023 Fire Chief of the Year from the awarded by the California Fire Chiefs Association. That's great to hear. And here at Marin Fire History, the last part of our name is history, and we're really proud to have Chief Weber here today. In the history of the Marin County Fire Chiefs, we've had three fire chiefs awarded the very prestigious Fire Chief of the Year award, the Ronny J. Coleman Fire Chief of the Year award by the Cal Chiefs. And they are Bob Marcucci, Fire Chief in San Rafael back in 2000, and retired Fire Chief Ken Mizuko with the Marin County Fire Department in 2009, and Chief Jason Weber with Marin County Fire Department last year in 2023. So welcome, Jason, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Paul. It's good to be here.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about the Fire Chief of the Year award and why you and Marin County Fire Department, obviously as their leader, was awarded this?
Yeah, absolutely. I would argue that it's not my award. It's the reflection of, everybody that's come before me and spent time and energy mentoring and coaching me, which I personally thought was impossible. But they did a pretty good job. And, I think it's a reflection of the Marin Fire Service. We as Marin Chiefs, as you know, from being a previous fire chief, and others that are involved with your history project, really are a collaborative group. So I don't like taking credit for the fact that we're doing great things here collectively. When I accepted the award, I made it clear that it was really on behalf of the great team I have surrounding me, but also the other fire chiefs in this county that are right there on all of these initiatives and programs and projects we're moving forward collectively. And I think that this award, I think you see Chief Mizuko and Marcucci say the same thing. It's a reflection of a greater team.
I would agree. And when I was putting this together for our little program today, I thought back, and Marin County is a very small county comparative to the other 57 in California. But over the last 20 years, there's three fire chiefs from this little county that have been awarded the Fire Chief of the Year award. And Chief, I've got to agree with you. I think the Marin County Fire Chiefs Association has been a very collaborative group, and they've come together on a lot of really good projects. And I look back of when I retired and moving forward on what you and the Marin County Fire Department and the Marin County Chiefs have done. I look at, the leadership you've provided just in the last few years with the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority. And that has come a long way, in my opinion, about preparedness of communities. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I think that, bringing 17 taxing authorities together that all have, their own board or council, but, under the thought of, fire knows no boundaries, and we need to start looking at this globally. It would have been very easy for those agencies to break off, try to put their own tax on that either offset general fund, if it's a city, town, or county, or was specific to a certain district or whatever. And I think we should all be proud of the fact that not only did all of the agencies come along and fire chiefs get behind it, but that the taxpayers were willing to move a measure forward and trust us with $20 million a year and raises a little bit every year to do this kind of work. And there's a lot of counties in this state that are interested in something like this, and either the political will doesn't exist or the organization isn't there to make it happen. And I think, reflective of the statements earlier, we were fortunate here that the fire chiefs, came together, developed a plan, weren't stubborn enough or their egos didn't get in the way that the plan couldn't be adjusted. And it was many times to accommodate all of the different political or economic needs of 17 agencies. And you got across the finish line and are really doing great work. And it's true to its name. It's wildfire prevention. It's not wildfire prevention with a bunch of other stuff underneath it that isn't necessarily related. So, I think that bodes well with our communities that we're using their tax dollars wisely, and for the purpose that they intended. And I'm hopeful that, we're almost halfway through, as surprising as that is, approaching halfway mark of that tax. That's going to need to be renewed. And I think that, everyone can see the value.
I totally agree with you. I look at the work that's been done in our neighborhood, our community. I live in the Ross Valley, and the work that's been done, it's phenomenal. And from a former fire chief's perspective, I wish at the time when I was working, we had some of that horsepower and some of that the funds to do things like that, because you're absolutely right. It came from various jurisdictions trying to do the best they could with what they had. And now you have a very collaborative group that is moving the ball forward, no doubt. Could you talk just a little bit about one of I think of your other innovations, if you will, is the Fire Foundry for young firefighters? How does that work? Can you tell us a little bit about that, Chief?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as fire agencies, we're all suffering at this point from a lack of available workforce. And, certainly when we all started, the line was around the block. Sometimes, you'd sleep outside of a fire station to be one of the first, 2, 3, 400 applicants or something to drop an application off.
Mhm.
And there was just an enormous interest in this business. And, over the last few years that's declined. And I don't know if it's availability in the job market or saturation, that there's just more positions than there are folks available. But certainly in the paramedic arena, it is ultra competitive, and we're just, gutting each other, it seems like, on a rotational basis as to who's getting those next folks. So, we have a problem there, and I don't think it's going to get better. Second piece was, the county has focused a lot of the work on equity and how we, each department can bring, a lens of equity to the work they're doing. And this was an opportunity for us to reach into communities that either are historically underrepresented in the fire service, females, people of color, and also really, communities that are untapped resources for this labor market. And, those are a lot of them, lower socioeconomic communities, communities of color. And so, looking at that and saying, okay, there's an opportunity here to expand our pool of people that we can recruit for these jobs. And then looking at, climate change and what we're facing with wildland fire, this is truly a sustainable wage career path with a lot of opportunities. And we talked about the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority, that has brought a lot of jobs to the county. And not only public side, but also private. A lot of contractors are working, doing vegetation management, but we also have a lot more people in fire prevention than we've ever had. And, that is a niche market, if you will, and is short too. So the concept was really born from all of that. The reason why it's labeled Fire Foundry is we didn't want to brand it Marin County Fire, Fuels Crew or Marin County Fire, whatever. This is really, again, another effort countywide for all the agencies to participate and draw from. And the agencies are providing mentors for these young men and women. So the concept was there that, let's put a program together, an earn to learn program. So we'll have a fuels crew that can go out and do work, earn revenue, and these kids turn around and they get a paycheck. But what we found and have historically found with our equity initiatives and trying to reach into communities like this there are too many obstacles for them to become a full-time firefighter. And a lot of those are financial obstacles, but it's also housing security and food security.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know Marin is not an inexpensive place to live.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're making $20 an hour, you're not making it. So with this, we used the old Santa Fe Fire Station 53 that the county had purchased when they built the new 57 across from the Civic Center. And over the course of about 30 days, we remodeled that entire facility to accommodate housing and kind of bring it up to a little better standard. And then partnership with Conservation Corps North Bay for the employment. And that allowed us to avoid kind of the bureaucracy that's there for public hiring and processes and all that. So they became our employment partner. So they're actually the employer. And then partnered with the College of Marin, who, enrollment in our community college system is down. It's beneficial for them to come together and partner on things. And they've got some great track records with their construction program and other programs.
Right.
So, across from Kentfield and their Indian Valley campus, they have beautiful facilities. This has grown into something that has seen a lot of support from the community and our partners. We're in the process of relocating all of our fire crew in the Foundry program out to the Indian Valley campus. We've signed an MOU with the College of Marin, and we have an architect that's doing the design development using an existing building out at IVC for dormitory and housing, and then building new apparatus bay. And the intent there is we'll be able to accommodate the seasonal workforce for year-round housing as long as they're in school. But also if we have staffing patterns or other reasons to put the crews on, we have a place that can accommodate that. So, I think there's a ton of potential here, and it's not just related to, county fire or, our wildland fire specific stuff. This is the future for staffing our dispatch center, the Office of Emergency Management, our fire prevention bureaus. So it's really an opportunity to extend that workforce and tap into communities that we haven't done before. So
sure. And it's a great use of the property up there too.
Absolutely.
Everybody wins, That's a great use that's a great program. So what's next? What's on your plate, Chief? I mean,
that's
done so many really good
right?
things. I'd love to hear take a peek behind the curtain and see what you have up your sleeve.
Yeah, I think I was quoted as saying nothing new in 23 or nothing new in 22. I think it might have been even. Yeah, it was 22. And I think, our team's ready to kill me for everything that has happened. So, our fire crew program, which Tim Walsh started in around 2005, really, again, focused on the need of wildland fire in the county. He was hired to develop the wildland fire plan for the county that we had to submit to CAL FIRE. And, I think he went to Chief Mizuko and said, look, this is great. We have a plan, but we have no arm to carry out the work. And so they're born the Tamalpais Fuels Crew, which, turned into the Tamalpais Fire Crew, which in 2018, recognizing that one wasn't enough, we partnered with National Park Service and got some additional funding. We're able to expand to 2 crews. And then most recently, working with CAL FIRE and, their reduction in the CDCR or the inmate population, it's really caused a significant deficit in the available of inmate firefighters. And so they were looking for creative ways, and Marin being one of the 6 contract counties to CAL FIRE in the state, worked with them, negotiated, lobbied to get funding. So last year, I think last fiscal year, so the fiscal year before the one we're in right now, which is 23, 24, we received the first allotment, and we now have annual and ongoing funding. That's allowed us to expand our crew program. So when you look at our crew program with the Foundry's field program, that's now about 70 people strong, which is, almost its own size fire department in itself. That's something that's happening. Last year, the county, especially after COVID, recognized the need to expand emergency management. And so they approached the fire department and asked to move the Office of Emergency Services from the sheriff's office over into the fire department, and also add about $1 million of annual and ongoing funding to bolster the staff in there and really work on preparing the county under, the new normal of climate change and otherwise. So we took on that endeavor just about a year ago, so
Mm-hmm.
January of 23, and that has been very, very successful. We've hired a fantastic director. I think that, the feedback I'm getting from the cities and towns in the districts is just how pleased they are with the collaboration, the outreach, really kind of taking our, what I'll call the Marin Fire Service model of working together
Yeah.
and being inclusive. And I think that'll pay dividends for all of us throughout the county. And then because that wasn't enough, the sheriff noticed the fire agencies in, I think it was summer of 22, that he wanted to discontinue providing dispatch services to the fire agencies on the corridor. And you probably know better than I, originally fire agencies were all coming mom and pop dispatch. So the cities, usually had to have somebody on answering law and fire, and they do their best to put out a dispatch. And I think in or around, it was probably the 80s when 911 came about from 7-digit
Mm-hmm.
numbers. And there started to be a migration and consolidation of dispatch services. And at the time, for whatever reasons, I believe County Fire wasn't capable of taking on a lot of the fire stuff. So the sheriff did. And ultimately, I think the last agency to go to the sheriff's office was Santa Fe. But in Marin's history, there's never been a time that all of fire and EMS dispatching was under one roof. So
No, never has been.
yeah,
It was always a dream of ours to have fire EMS dispatch in countywide. And now you're pulling it, the fire chiefs are pulling it together along with EMS, and my hat's off. I mean, especially with the rollout of the new Mira and all the communications that goes along with that. That's a tremendous amount of work.
yeah, it's an interesting time. So July 1st, 2024, come hell or high water, a new fire EMS dispatch center is opening. And we signed the construction contracts, I think last November.
Mhm.
Construction started in December of 23. And we've got a great contractor. They're going to be done by May 6th. And we have from May 6th to July 1st to get all of the technology and FF&E, the furniture, fixtures, etc., in there. And of course the dispatchers hired and trained, and that process is well underway. So I think it'll be really good for the county. We're going to be in a state-of-the-art center. You mentioned the technology. It's really interesting. Probably there's never been a worse time to build a new dispatch center, because everybody's moving from premise-based equipment to cloud-based, like the CAD and the phone systems. So nobody wants to sell you a premise-based equipment, but they're not really ready to sell you the cloud-based. So when we open the door July 1st, we'll be one of the first agencies in the state using cloud-based 911. And I think we're going to be more on the bleeding edge than the cutting edge.
Mhm.
It's going to be a little painful for sure. The CAD system, we're using the existing CAD system just because the others weren't ready to go to cloud-based and they wouldn't sell us premise. So we're using the existing county CAD. But then you mentioned Mira, and the new next-gen Mira is set to go live this fall of 24.
Okay.
And we're going to be opening about 3 or 4 months before the new systems is online. So we've actually had to pay Motorola a little bit more, and we're going to bring in that brand new system into the center. So there's going to be a lot of new technology in there, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of growing pains. But I think at the end of the day, as you mentioned, having fire and EMS under one roof, we're really, the model is fire is now going to control our destiny, and
Mhm.
be able to make the adjustments that I think ultimately will provide, a better service level to our constituents.
Absolutely. That's a lot of work. That's a tremendous amount of work. And you've got three or four, I won't say competing, three or four issues coming together within, sounds like a couple of 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, Marin County Fire has grown 40% in the last 18 months. And the previous 18 months were really in preparation for that 40% growth. That kind of growth really isn't sustainable. So, we're working on our updated strategic plan, and a lot of the focus the next few years is going to be on making sure that we get our feet underneath us and that we refine and polish some of the stuff that has been done, because it's a little too much too fast. But
Yep, I would agree.
think looking back, there was a window of opportunity, especially after the fire sieges of the North Bay and the summers we had, that we had the public's attention related to fire. And I think it would have been a mistake for us in the Marin Fire Service not to, I hate to use the word capitalize, but that's really what it was. It was an opportunity to do a lot of the things that we've talked about, and certainly predecessors like yourself and other chiefs, didn't have those opportunities because the political will and or public support
wasn't there.
I think we've always been supported by the community, but never have felt as needed. And this was an opportunity to move the football down the field, and I think collectively across Marin, we got the touchdown we needed in the fourth quarter.
And unfortunately, we had some horrific fire seasons, and I think what that did for our population was it increased the awareness to the level that we can't do this. We can't live like this anymore. Our neighborhoods have to be better prepared. We want our firefighters and our EMS and our dispatch systems to be responsive and responsible. And that was a great opportunity. And I think, I don't want to say the fire service took advantage of it, but I think the timing was right for those things to come together. So congratulations, Jason, and congratulations to you, and as you mentioned, Marin County Fire Department and Marin County Fire Agencies for that great award this year.
Thank you. Yeah, again, it's a collective award. I've got our deputy chief and deputy director sitting out of the office there that, these things you don't do alone. And then, the other fire chiefs, how close we all are and operate. Right. It's part of me says I feel bad even in accepting it, but I accept it knowing that it was really all of them and the great team that I get to be a part of.
Yeah, you are. You're very, 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 very fortunate. You have good people. You use them the right way, and they appreciate the work, and I'm sure they appreciate your leadership too, Jason. That's what it comes down to, because the nominations for this award comes from the people you work with. So, the tide raises all boats, and congratulations.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. It's an honor, as I say, to work around all these people. I feel like I'm the lucky one. So
yeah, we are. Well, thanks again to Fire Chief Jason Weber, Marin County Marin County Fire Department, and this is Paul Smith with Marin Fire History. Thank you very much, and good day.